Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Araya with the Kent Chamber of Commerce, and today we are going to be working with Zach, and he is with Edward Jones, and we are going to work on a workshop to talk about entrepreneurship and the equation of that. So Zach actually started his first business when he was 14, which is very, very interesting, young entrepreneur. Um, he also was hired to perform routine juggling at the Kent station, which is pretty nice. So that's something to maybe we can ask him to do here in the future. We'll see about that. When we can see you in the future, we'll ask you to do some juggling for us. Um, so we'll go ahead and start off with the workshop, and this workshop is going to be recorded. It will also be on Facebook, and so if for some reason you missed anything or you have any questions that were not necessarily answered, I'll be happy to provide you with the recording afterwards. The chat is also going to be open for anyone who has any questions. I'll be checking that, and I will go ahead and hand it over to Zach.
All right, thanks, Araya. Thanks for the introduction. Can we all hear me here? A thumbs up?
Yes.
Awesome. So, yep, I grew up here in Fairwood. Moved here when I was 7 and juggled at the Kent station growing up. And I started my first business when I was 14. I absolutely love small business. I think it is the #1 underrated benefit for small communities. As small business owners, you guys are providing jobs. The amount of personal coaching that goes on in a small business with employees, the meaning that people are given by work is, I think, incredibly undervalued currently. And if you take nothing else away from this presentation that's to follow, know that as small business owners, you guys are doing incredible work, particularly in times like this of semi-crisis with COVID for the Kent community. So thank you for that. This presentation is called the Entrepreneurial Equation, and I'm going to go over some things, particularly with small businesses, particularly with newer businesses that people encounter. My background is as a financial advisor, and so I'm going to weight things towards that. That's where my expertise is. However, there are things on this that I definitely am going to talk about that I do not do as a financial advisor. But if you have questions on, you can still reach out to me with questions, and I can connect you with the professionals I know who do handle those areas. Okay. So, and as I bring things up here, in the time allotted, we'll probably run about a half hour or so. Is not really time to go in depth in a lot of these things. I'm hoping to maybe spotlight some things you may not have known about as a business owner, and give you a little bit of background on them so that if you come across a situation, you can think in your mind, oh, I heard Zach talk about this. Maybe he knows somebody that can help me with that, or you can find that professional. So common small business issues. As business owners, we all have issues. We're strapped for time. We have employees with their own set of challenges in HR. And we're facing things like response to COVID-19. The entrepreneurial equation. We all have a vision for our businesses, and it's easy for that to get clouded, particularly as a small business owner. You're probably the HR person, the marketing person, the go-to person when problems arise. And it may be hard to mix that operational and business and finance all together. But that mix is what we call the entrepreneurial equation at Edward Jones. And I think one of the most vital things in that is creating a team and looking across, the small businesses I deal with. I find that the successful ones have at least these key partners. That is an accountant to help deal with taxes, cash flow, payroll, expenditures, a good business attorney to deal with their business structure as the business moves through its lifespan, eventually succession planning for that business, estate planning, things like that. A financial advisor to provide guidance on the finances and interface with the CPA on making sure that tax advantages are taken care of, and then also a good insurance liaison. Okay. All right, so the process I use a lot for goal setting is this 5-step process, which starts with, where are we at today in the business? Where do we want to be? And want to be 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. How do we get there? So, if your goal is to, outpace Amazon in retail sales in 5 years, the can we get there aspect, we may need to reevaluate that. If it's to buy a building, is saving $20,000, $10,000 a year for that a realistic goal? And then how do we get there? What are those actionable steps that we take daily, monthly, yearly to make that happen? And then probably the most, I think the most overlooked for small business owners is how do we stay on track? There's lots of great information out there on planning, and lots of businesses do that. And then when the first hurdle comes their way, the plan goes out the window, and there's no way to keep them on track with that. So working with somebody who can help with that, and again, that team of professionals is what can provide that. So regardless of what type of business you're involved in or own, you likely have goals in these 3 key areas. You want to build and develop your business, create value outside of your business, and preserve your business so you can pass on to your successors, or sell the business to start the next one, or sell it to fund your retirement, whatever that goal may be. One thing we find in building your business, somebody who provides good banking services, a good commercial banker for cash management, things like helping handle payroll, which can be done again with your accountant as well, credit cards for key employees, keeping track of spending, and providing some sort of line of credit for cash flow issues, whether it's a traditional loan or a margin loan on an investment account you have, some sort of credit, which we've seen in the past events with COVID, is very handy if you set it up front before you need it. So to grow and attract key employees, this means offering them a right type of benefits package. And depending where you are in your business, this may be scaled down or up, but usually consists of some sort of health care for at least some of the employees, business retirement plan, and some sort of paid time off provided. And as a small business, I find a lot of people overlook, is there one person or a couple key people in your business who are make or break people for your business? That if that person went away, something happened to them, you'd have a really tough time making that up. It's always good to consider Murphy's Law. If something bad could happen, it very well may. Um, so let's talk a little bit about create value outside of your business. I talk to a lot of business owners that consider their business to be their retirement plan. Uh, you know, throw something out in the chat or raise your hand if you consider your business to be your retirement plan. I'll see if I can, I think the chat went away here. Let me see here. There we go. So usually it's about half. And you know, in addition to running a successful business, you do have to provide for yourself over time. I had a friend who owned a computer business. He repaired, did networks, things like that, and he could never find the money to save in his business in a retirement plan or elsewhere. And he came to realize eventually that you know, the business he was building was not going to provide him the enough at the sale of the business, and that in fact he was charging too little for his services. And you know, the indicator of that was he was not able to save any money as a business beyond funding those day-to-day expenditures. So it's also good to look at, you know, diversifying your assets in the business. If all of it is wrapped up in the business and none of it is set aside in some sort of business retirement plan or other assets, you are opening yourself up to you know, events like, oh, say a worldwide pandemic that may change the nature of your business. Okay. So when you start thinking, I'm going to sort of transition to talking about the business retirement plans here. When you think about a retirement strategy, you know, you first have to think about what's your goal for it. You know, a properly structured plan considers how much you can contribute yourself, the employees. Do you want to include them? Do they need to contribute? And then are you willing to maybe make those contributions for employees to get the benefit of maybe having a higher contribution limit yourself? So for businesses with no employees, speaking in retirement plans, there are three main types that are used. The first is a simplified employee pension, or otherwise known as a SEP IRA. An owner-only 401k or a defined benefit plan. These plans differ in a few respects. The SEP IRA is easy to set up, it's inexpensive, and it's flexible in the contributions. Whether you have no employees or you plan to hire only a few, SEP is a suitable option. There's no limit on the number of employees you can have, but primarily SEP IRAs are appropriate for businesses with no employees or fewer than 10, because there is matching contributions required in that plan. Another option is owner-only 401ks. These have a higher contribution limit than SEP IRAs and the ability to do catch-up contributions over age 50 if that is applicable. Last, you can contribute to a defined benefit plan. These work best if you're over 45 and earn more than $100,000 a year from the business, and have at least 3 years to contribute to this plan because of some of the other factors. But these plans allow for the highest contribution limits, often over $100,000 a year to these plans. For those businesses with employees, there's three options here that are traditionally used: a simple IRA, a 401k, including the safe harbor versions, and custom plans. The saving incentive match plans for employees, or simple IRAs, is a good option because it allows businesses to take for key employees to defer compensation even if other employees choose not to contribute to the plan. I had a cleaning service, and they didn't really want to contribute to their employees' plans, and they went to the employees and asked, "Do you want a retirement plan? Would you contribute to it?" They all said no, and so they're actually able to use the simple and not have to do those matching contributions. And it's as the name kind of implies, it is very simple to set up. It's cheap. The 401k is a little more expensive. It allows employees to contribute on a pre-tax basis, which reduces their taxable income. You can also set up to allow for Roth deferrals, which have the potential to grow tax-free. And then also on the safe harbor side, safe harbor 401ks work like a traditional 401k, except the big difference is the owners and the highly compensated employees can contribute more without having to put in those same contributions for the other employees. Custom plans, there are all sorts of variations of this that you can get into, and that there are so many out there. One in particular is there is a way in 401ks to allow for contributions past the 19.5 K a year in an after-tax where they can be rolled out into a Roth IRA. And you'll see some of the bigger companies adopt this, like Microsoft and Facebook, but it can also be done on a small level. I would suggest is discussing these options with your financial advisor and your CPA, and they can both advise you on that. Insurance. So I'm going to shift a little bit here and talk about protecting the business that you worked so hard to build and create value in. The key protection strategy for your business and personal lives is insurance. If something unexpected happens, insurance can help protect your business and personal interest, such as outstanding debts, providing child education, paying outstanding mortgages, or final expenses. There are also specialized insurance plans called life insurance retirement plans, and we'll explore those in more detail in a minute. We're going to take a look at a scenario here. I'm going to call this flower shop owner Sue of Forever Blooms. So Sue does flower arrangements for events. Typically it's weddings. Does about 6 a weekend or 300 or so a year. She's had an employee for about 8 years named Jenny, and with a lot of small businesses, as they grow, that founder kind of fades more into the background of managing the business and overseeing operations and less on the ground work. That happened here. Jenny was now doing all the chief flower designs, a lot more of the client interfacing, um, but really the design aspect she had kind of taken over and put her own spin on it. This opens Sue up to the risk of if something happens to Jenny, she's now in such a prominent role with designs that are unique to her, customer relationships that are very unique to her and her designs, that if something happens, there's a risk there. And something did happen, not at work, unallowed though at home, doing some painting, fell off, had a broken back. I recovered, but it was about a 6-month process of rehab and time off. And then even after that, Jenny was only back for really a few hours a week for a while. And so there was quite a bit of loss in customer and in income, because a lot of people are coming to the business for Jenny's designs, her expertise, her relationship she had with them. And so there's something called key person insurance, where you as a business take out an insurance policy on that key employee. And if something happens to them, it pays the business out for that loss of that person, whether it's temporary or permanent. Looking at that same business, Jenny could have also been, lured away by a competitor. And one thing that I see businesses using successfully to combat that is some sort of deferred compensation. So where you as a business tie additional compensation to the meeting of some goal, whether it's number of contracts or business brought in or size, something like that, where it encourages that key person to stay on with the business, to see that goal through, so that they can then receive that additional deferred compensation as a result of that goal. And that's something you can set up through a retirement plan as well. Going to shift gears here a little bit, talk about another situation. Trucking company, we'll call them Joe and Rick, business partners. They've been business a little over 12 years, I believe now, and move freight across the country, large corporations. One of the business owners had a heart attack. His joint business passed away, and it left them in this situation of the family of that business owner that passed away having to or wanting to sell off that portion of the business, which leaves the remaining business owner in the position of having to buy out their partner, which they may or may not have funds for, or come to some sort of agreement there. Oftentimes, we see this being taken care of with a good business attorney. And I'm going to call Greg out here because I see him on the call. Current law is great. Setting up a buy-sell agreement wherein it makes stipulations where if something happens to one of those partners, it sets up an agreement where they would be bought out. Often this is funded with life insurance so that the remaining partner or partners are not having to immediately raise that capital. There's joint life insurance policies that are taken out. And again, this is not something you want to just do on your own. You need a trusted partner alongside you to help set these things up. So one last story here. this is an accounting firm, we'll call him Jim, um, run a very successful accounting business, has kids. Only one of them works at the firm though, and Jim wants to leave his kids something when he retires. He's also wants to contribute more to his retirement plan than his contribution limits allow. And in these situations, often people use what's called a life insurance retirement plan, or LIRP. And what these plans are they are insurance policies designed for retirement savings, well suited for people who have that higher income. They have special tax advantages because they are wrapped in that life insurance wrapper. Um, as long as they're structured correctly, the owner, Jim in this case, can take the income out tax-free. And it also provides some flexible abilities on how to split that up with a successor of a business, where if one of the sons is in there, the son can inherit the business, and then the other kids are paid out through this the community cash value in life insurance, since they are not participating in the business. Okay, so to kind of wrap things up here, there's no or exactly right way to build a business. It's going to be unique, which is why this team of professionals, that accountant, the business attorney, the financial advisor, the banker, are so important to have to advise you as a team on how to tackle various problems like we've seen here in business. I'm going to open it up in just a minute here for some questions. Before I do that, I do want to have one ask. I have not done a whole lot of presentations as a financial advisor. I used to do a lot more when I was in the healthcare field. And so I really would value your feedback on this here, and what you thought was helpful, what you thought could really be improved. So if you have any time, shoot me a quick email, give me a phone call. I really value your feedback on that. I want to make sure if I'm doing these, I'm providing content that really is of use to people. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. So I think Araya, you might have the keys to allow people to unmute.
Yes, they are able to unmute themselves.
Okay. And I did want to put a plug in for the chamber as well. Talking about that team of people you're creating, the Kent Chamber, allows you to have easier access to do that. In the Kent Chamber, we have business attorneys, we have accountants, we have financial advisors, and really take advantage of these opportunities. I know it's hard with COVID now, but to meet those people, and you want to be able to have those people in your back pocket where you can give them a call and just pick somebody's brain about something because you've known them, you've had conversations, able to do that. So thank you to the Kent Chamber also for letting me talk and giving me this opportunity.
And we are also available for a soft introduction, whether or not you want to reach out to me first and be introduced to one of the people that you would like to speak with, or CC us so that the connection is there. We are more than happy to do an introduction on behalf of you or with you, or however you feel comfortable. We're happy to do that for you. We do have one chat here. So Dr. Rowland is just saying thank you for the presentation. And as I mentioned before, we will have this presentation recorded for everyone to have access to, which will also have Zach's contact information in the event that you have any questions for him and need to reach out to him. And if there isn't any other questions, I can conclude the presentation.
Thank you very much, Zach.
Yeah, good job, Zach.
Thanks.
And
Thanks,
that-
David, Greg.
Yeah, it's a nice general overview. It's amazing how many business people don't think of those different things until it's too late. So
Yeah.
the sooner you can get that information to them, the better.
Absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to attend this. I really appreciate it. And again, I would just value any feedback you have on the content and presentation and how it can improve.
You bet. It's good to see you, Dave.
No
Good
problem.
to see you, Raya.
All right.
We'll
Thanks.
see you now.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.